What's up, gang? It's Kevin, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list of all the characters in PJ Masks. Now, I know I'm probably gonna make a lot of enemies doing this, so just a disclaimer, this is all my opinion, and I'm gonna try as hard as I can to give you enough reasoning to why I think this way. Alright, first we got Catboy, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to put him in A tier. Even though I talk about how much I hate him all the time, he is one of my favorite characters. I love how he's just unapologetically cringe. It makes him who he is. Like, there's just a charm to Catboy just being himself. Next up, we got Owlette, and I'm not gonna lie, I hate doing this to her because she's a main character, but I'm gonna have to put her in B tier. Well, okay, so back in the day, I used to be the biggest Owlette hater because she was kind of a jerk in season 1, right? I've become more indifferent to her as a character, I guess. I feel like she could be a bit more interesting, if that makes sense. Next, we got Gecko, obviously, and guys, I have to put him in S tier. Gecko is a top tier character. He's just the best character. He's the voice of reason, and come on, he has the coolest powers. And I feel like he's just overall like the most level-headed and the smartest out of the trio. He's a dancer, and he's a total nerd about dinosaurs. I love Gecko so much. Next, we got Luna, and y'all know I'm gonna put Luna in S tier because I have a bias. Luna is actually my favorite character, not just in PJ Masks, but in all of media. I've said this before. Something about her design, in her voice, in her powers, in her sob story. She's just my favorite character ever. I just love her so much. She's bored, she's lonely, she wants attention. All she needs is friends, but she's unwilling to just accept that, and it's so good, you guys. No one gets Luna like I do. I am the only Luna stan, dude. Next, we got Romeo, and again, I'm gonna have to put Romeo in S tier because it's funny. I didn't used to like his character as a kid because I thought he was kind of annoying, and obviously because he took screen time away from Luna, but now that I'm older, Romeo is a goated character, dude. All of his powers and stuff come from inventions that he's made. Like, he's not even joking when he says he's a genius, guys. He's got so much personality. He makes me laugh every time he's on screen. I love this little guy. I'm gonna get a ton of hate for this, but I'm gonna put Night Ninja in C tier. I'm sorry. I've gotta come clean. I've never liked Night Ninja very much. I think he's goofy and silly, but my problem is that that's kind of where his character ends for me. Like, I just wish he had more substance to his character, if that makes sense. I feel like his motivations are kind of unclear. Like, he just does stuff for the sake of doing it, and like, Luna does the same thing, but her motivations are more like attention seeking, and his are just like, I don't know what his motivations are. I also got kind of annoyed with the whole Mystery Mountain plot, because for a while his entire personality was just, I'm gonna take over the mountain, and he never did anything other than that, and I think that just really killed him as a character for me. I'm probably the only fan on Earth that's not a big fan of Night Ninja, but yeah, I'm sorry, guys. PJ Robot. As much as I love PJ Robot, I'm gonna have to put him in B tier because as cute as he is, and how much I love him, don't get me wrong, I literally have a plushie of him on my shelf. He's not a necessary character, and he doesn't do much, and they nerf him in every single episode. I love him, he's a great mascot, and his whole backstory, no, actually the backstory is gonna move him up to A tier. I love the backstory with Romeo. But yeah, at the end of the day, they kind of did him dirty, I'm not gonna lie. Next, we got Robot. Let's see. I think Robot's pretty necessary, right? Because he's like Romeo's henchman and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Robot into A tier. He's not like my favorite character or anything, but like, he's a silly little guy, and he's necessary to Romeo's plot, I think, so. Robette, I feel like she's never contributed anything. I honestly forget she's a character, so I'm gonna put her in D tier. I don't think she serves much of a purpose in the show. Matsuki, I'm gonna put her in B tier, because, like, even though I like Matsuki's character and she's pretty fun and she brings, like, a lot of new elements to the show, I still feel like she's kind of unnecessary. She did ruin Luna's entire character thing of like being bored and alone. After Matsuka was introduced, Luna kind of was never the same after that. So I feel like it was more of a detriment. She's adorable, gotta give her that, but I just don't know how necessary she is to the show. Newton Star. Oh my goodness. I like Newton. I think I'm gonna have to put Newton in A tier. He was like the first daytime kid other than the PJ Masks to get powers at night, and his powers are different too. They're not just like the typical animal powers. He has powers from an asteroid, he can travel through space. I also like that he has a different personality type than the PJs, who are super social and outgoing, and Newton's more shy and reserved. Even though like his character design isn't my favorite, but I love like the little star cutout in his hair. It's so cool. And Yu. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I never really liked Yu as a character, but she's pretty cool, so I'm gonna put her in A tier. I never connected with her as a character because she is a little bit more like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna say it. She's a little bit boring, but it's okay because she's canonically like that in the show and they address it in several episodes. Me not being a big fan of her episodes could be also due to the fact that she shares a lot of episodes with Night Ninja, and I don't know. You put two characters who I'm not really connected with in the same episode, and I'm not really gonna connect to the plot either. But I'm putting Yu in A tier because I think she's a really cool fleshed out character, and I think it's really awesome how she's like this super powerful dragon girl and she's in charge of everything on the mountain, and she's just a total girl boss. Also, her backstory is killer. Come on, she has so much lore. Armadillon. I was originally gonna put him in A tier, but I think I might put him in S tier just because he breathes new life into the show. Like, of course the show did him dirty. They didn't tell his story very well. I think he had a lot more potential, but he's really cool because he's one of those characters that was introduced as an anti-hero, and he was morally gray, and he went through this character development of like finding out who he is and stuff. I think he's a really cool character. I think he's very unique. Also, he's just one of my favorites. I relate to him a lot. So, like, I wish the show had written him better and hadn't written the PJs as, like, these big heroes when they're just being super mean to him. But he's a good character in the fact that they took a risk on him. They did make a character that had some depth to it, and I think that was pretty daring. Ice Cub. I'm going to have to put Ice Cub in A tier. He is a bit of a Gary Stu. I know they gave him like some flaws later, but they did introduce him as this like perfect popular kid that does no wrong and is nice to everyone, and like that's cool and all, but I would have loved if they gave him like a main flaw early on. His character design is adorable. I mean, he's like a polar bear and he has ice powers and he hugs people to melt the ice and he has a super sensitive nose. I think it's great. Also, he's wonderful disability rep. I've said it before. I love that he's disabled and they don't make a big deal out of it. I love that his superpowers don't erase his disability. And he's also played by a disabled voice actor, which is so awesome. And yeah, Ice Cub is just a likable character. I think I'm gonna have to put Lily Faye in B tier just because she's not super fleshed out as a character. Don't get me wrong, I love her character. I think she's really cool. And I love the fact that she's an alien and that she's unique and different and weird and she has her own vocabulary. I think it's adorable. But she doesn't have like a ton of character detail, at least not yet. I hope that in season 7 they give her a bit more screen time and let her talk a little bit more. I think her whole space fairy thing is really cool, but like once again, I don't know what a space fairy is, and the show never bothers to explain it. Oh, we got Kevin. I'm gonna have to put Kevin in S tier because 1, I'm Kevin IRL, and 2, he had a solid character arc. They didn't have to give him a character arc because he was initially introduced as part of a trio, a side character, the comic relief, etc. But they did give him a character arc anyway, and it was so cool to watch him be like, oh yeah, this is who I am and I'm gonna stand up for myself. And like his friends still love him for it and they respect him for standing up for himself, and that was just so cool. I love that. Also, Kevin, he's just a good guy. We love you, Kevin. Rip, I'm unfortunately gonna have to put in B tier. She just doesn't have enough character, and I'm also gonna put Howler in B tier too because I don't know, their whole thing is just like, oh yeah, we're punks who fight with each other, and that's about it. There's just no depth there, and I would love for them to do more episodes that focused on them individually as characters like they did with Kevin. Unfortunately, that hasn't really happened yet. Bastet. I'm gonna have to put Bastet in A tier because she has a solid personality with solid flaws right at the beginning, and she has a totally complete backstory, and so I just felt like her character introduction was very solid. And I didn't really like her at first, but like, she grew on me. She's a character with personality. As for Pharaoh Boy, this is really ironic, but I'm actually gonna put Pharaoh Boy in B tier. Now, hear me out, hear me out. I feel like it was so random and just came out of nowhere, and his whole thing is the exact same as Romeo, like he wants to take over the world. Which we already did, so I just don't see a need for doing that again. Also, his design is confusing. Like, why is he a mummy? Is he dead or alive? Why does he have organs? I don't know. The only reason I put Bastet above Pharaoh Boy is because I feel like her story was more solid from the get-go, while Pharaoh's was more of like a mystery. I don't know, his introduction was just not super solid to me. It didn't speak to me. Next we got Monkey Goo. Okay, so Monkey Goo is kind of fun. I feel like he doesn't really serve a purpose, so I'm sadly gonna have to put him in C tier. He's a fun character. I feel like he didn't bring anything to the show long term, and they didn't keep him on the show long enough to do that anyway. His whole thing is just, I'm goofy, and that's it. It's actually kind of the same with Pirate Robot, who I'm sadly gonna have to put in D tier. He's just a forgettable character, and I honestly forget he exists a lot. Thinking about it, I can't recall a specific episode where he was trying to do something specific. Octabella is going straight to S tier. One of the best characters on the show, you guys. Her whole thing is just that she's purely evil and she manipulates people for the fun of it because she likes torturing people and making their lives hard. She has been one of my favorite characters since the moment she was introduced. Top tier villain. Hands down. Oh, some of you are gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna put Morticia in D tier. I'm sorry. She was kind of the same deal as like Pirate Robot, a failed Romeo experiment. Her whole motive was just like, oh, I'm gonna grow plants and then I'm gonna protect the plants and then I'm gonna be classified as a villain for some reason. Also, the way she talks just irks me, I'm sorry. The Speedy Twins. The problem with these guys is that they have potential, but the show doesn't utilize their potential. I'm gonna have to put them in C tier. Also, they're responsible for the PJ Riders, who don't deserve to be classified with any of the other characters. Are they even characters? But yeah, going back to the Speedy Twins, their whole thing was just like, we drive cars and we're fast and we're villains apparently. I just don't understand it. I think it's cool they're aliens from another dimension though, that's neat. And their character designs are like adorable. I'm gonna have to put the PJ Pets in D tier. They seriously do nothing and have no point. If they are their spirit animals, that's cool, but like, I feel like they're just kind of annoying and get in the way of the plot. Like, why do we need a whole episode dedicated to a bird, you know? Teeny Weeny or the Splat Monster. I'm gonna have to put Teeny Weeny in B tier. I think he's really cool, and I think it's cool that they made him a character like this. They also kind of dropped that plot somewhere along the way, but I don't know, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. Gloop the Third. This is another character that like had potential and then they totally wasted it. Gloop is going in C tier, which is being generous because I really don't like his character design. I got jump scared when I saw it for the first time. He's from another planet. I can never get enough of aliens. Why did they spontaneously redeem him at the end of the season? Why? I'm tempted to move him down to D tier, but like, he could potentially be a better character if he was rewritten and redesigned. Cameron! S-T- I'm just kidding. I think I'm gonna put Cameron in B tier because he is a side character. But I do think he's funny. I think he's a good side character though. And lastly, we have Marvin. S tier character, we stan Marvin. And don't get me wrong, I don't really hate any of the characters. There's just some that I wish were written better or got more screen time so they could be fleshed out more. But yeah, these are just my opinions, so let me know what your favorite characters are in the comments and why, and how you would rewrite some of your less favorite characters if you could. I probably made so many people angry with this video, but you know what? Whatever. Alright, Kevin out.